evening, everyone. First of all, let me thank Dr. Sabu for one more opportunity to share with you some details about another techno-economic topic. Today, we're going to discuss about India's islands and their economic potential. Many of you may have visited India's islands, either on a holiday or on work, and you may have a fairly good idea about what is so attractive about our islands, whether there are any shortcomings as per you, and what the government should do or what authorities should do to increase its ability to attract more people to come and see the islands. Because most islands are tourist destinations world over. Most of the small islands, if you've got a very big island like England, then the attraction is not on the waterfront, elsewhere in the land. There could be some limitations and challenges when you want to improve your islands. So we'll discuss all this. And I have a presentation for you, which I will upload now. Okay, so let's start with islands and what is so special about islands, because every island belongs to a country and the country has a sovereign right on the island. So let us quickly see a summary of the world has 151 coastal countries. And there are about 5 lakh islands world over, right? But some of the coastal countries don't have islands. I'm giving an example. Monaco, Israel, Togo, Jordan, Belgium. They don't have islands as of now, but some are trying to create artificial islands because there are some advantages having an island, which is what we're going to talk about in our discussion today. And islands are associated with many strong economic and ecological advantages. So let's see that. What are the advantages of islands? The first advantage of an island is that you have an EEZ around that island. Normally, this EEZ is about 360 kilometers around the island. So if the island is about 360 kilometers away from you, then the EEZ will almost touch your coastline. But then we also have EEZ from our coast. So the EEZ may overlap. But the net fact is islands have 360 kilometers of a circle with radius of 360 kilometers. Normally, they refer to as 200 nautical mile, but I'm saying in kilometer. And all the wealth in the 360 kilometers around the island is a country's wealth. It can be fisheries, it can be minerals on the seabed, it is the freedom to install offshore windmills. All this is available to the country which has a sovereign right on the island. Ecological. There are islands being not invariably thickly populated or not having many industrial activity, etc. I'm talking about small islands. So there is a tendency for birds and other marine animals to sort of use that as an habitat. And this has got a lot of attraction, apart from having rare species coming and nesting in your coastline. Tourism. Tourism is a major attraction. People want nature-rich waterfront where they can go on a holiday. They can have many entertainment there. And these destinations attract a lot of tourists. Obviously, when you want tourism to develop, there should be so many other things. There should be airport should be there. They should be able to go by ship. There should be internet connectivity. All these things, are power supply should be reliable. All these things are required for tourism to develop. But we'll come back to this point. How tourism, if you want to sustain, what are the additional things which you have to do? And strategic advantage. The Navy can use the island as a forward defense post. It can be for surveillance, it can be for deployment of ships. It has got an advantage which is very, very useful for the country which has got the sovereign rights. So let us go to the next point. So let us look at India's islands. India's islands mostly is what I have shown. India, there's Lakshwadeep in this line, and there is Andamans Nicobar in this line, this red dotted line. And these are referred as Western Island Chain. There's Maldives in that line. There is Diego Garcia in that line. On the east side, Indonesia is on that line, and many other islands after that. This has happened because when the Earth was formed, due to movement of the Earth's plates, the islands got formed. Small fragments came out of the mainland, but they all came in one line for us, one line of the east and one line of the west. India has, the peninsula has got 7,200 kilometers. The total coastline, which includes all the islands, is about 11,000 plus. India has 1,389 islands. And this has been physically identified by a joint team of Navy, Coast Guard, and Survey General's Office, and has been documented in 2022. Almost 1,400 islands we have. The majority is in Andamans Nicobar line and in Lakshwadeep line. Andamans Nicobar is 836. Lakshwadeep is 33 islands only. All of them are not inhabited. Some are uninhabited. And we will see more details of this later. The balance islands which India has, which is very close to about 400 odd, they are all off the coast. Gujarat has got some islands. Tamil Nadu has got some islands. West Bengal has got some islands. Orissa has got some islands. Andhra Pradesh has got some islands. Small islands are there, which are all put together. It comes to 1,389. So let's look at the importance of Andamans Nicobar. You see this red line. It is referred as 10-degree latitude. This is the line in which all the ships go. All ships going towards east, southeast, and far east. Singapore, Indonesia, go to China, go to Korea, go to Japan. They all go in this line. And mostly go in this line. There's another alternative route also. I'll show you later. And this 10-degree line is very, very important because by looking at the ships which are going past this line, we are able to understand in detail about what is the movement of not only trade commercial ships, but also some warships. Now, let's look at Andamans Nicobar. Originally, it was occupied by the tribals. Then East India companies of Dutch and British tried to occupy it, but tropical diseases drove them away. Then after 1857 mutiny in India, British converted that to a colony where people used to be sent on punishment to stay there. Later, we had the historic cellular jail. During Second World War, for a short time, it was occupied by Japan, but it went back to British. And after independence, it became a union territory. Now, let's look at the Lakshwadeep, sorry. Lakshwadeep is nearest to the port is Cochin, or you have in Mangalore. These are the nearby ports. And there's a group of 33 islands, which I told you earlier. And originally occupied by tribals. Earliest settlers went from Kerala, mostly to start agricultural activity. Then there was a kingdom of Arakkal. Arakkal is a Muslim family who had set up their control over Lakshwadeep. Then Arakkal became very strict for the population. They were very unhappy with it. They took Tipu Sultan's help to take over the islands. Then later, nearly almost 1800, the East India Company drove away Tipu Sultan from there. And then British were holding it. Then India became independent. It became a union territory in 1946. So let's take a comparison between Lakshwadeep and Andamans Nicobar. I'm showing it in these items. Some are only for information. One or two points I will amplify a little in detail. Let's take Andamans Nicobar. Important point is 86% literacy. Literacy is quite high. And you have seen the languages, Bengali, Hindi, Tamil. Employment avenues are tourism, agriculture, fisheries, and adventure sports. And they have 4 airports, out of which 3 are with defense, and 1 is with civil. You can go by ship also. Power supply. Power supply is an issue. It runs diesel generators. Now, some solar and windmills have also come. So almost 10% of the diesel generator is substituted by solar and wind. But otherwise, the entire set of islands, all the islands are running their own generators 24 hours a day. No power supply goes from mainland to, even though it is possible to send through undersea cables, but that is not there at the moment. They have to manage with diesel generators. And something more is coming. I'll discuss in the projects. For internet connectivity, there's a cable from Chennai. In 2020, it is settled down. Initially, there was little hiccups. Now, good connectivity is there in Andaman as well as in Nicobar Islands because of this undersea cable which has come from Chennai. Capital was Port Blair. Name has been changed to Sri Vijayapuram. Anybody who wants to buy land can buy land in Andaman. Anyone, any Indian citizen. But in Nicobar Islands, only local people can buy. That is a rule at this point of time. And administration looked after by Lakshwadeep government. Let's look at Lakshwadeep. Important point, Lakshwadeep has got a higher percentage of literacy. Of course, the population is much less. Malayalam is mostly spoken, but there's also something similar to Malayalam, which is spoken in Minicoy, which is almost similar to what is spoken in Maldives. Similar type of employment avenues, tourism, agriculture, adventure sports. There only 1 airport is there. You can go by sea. Same issue on power supply. You have to run diesel generator. There's no other option. And undersea cable is there from Kochi. Therefore, internet connectivity is good. So that's an important point for tourism. People who come on holiday, they would like to remain connected through internet for whatever services internet gives. Capital is Kavaratti, and you cannot buy land in Lakshwadeep. Only the local tribals can buy the land. And another important aspect is in Lakshwadeep, everyone, the entire population is scheduled tribe, is considered scheduled tribe. Even the MP who's coming from Lakshwadeep, he is fighting the election on a reserved seat for scheduled tribe. Okay, let's go further. There's an administrator which you must be knowing. And islands in the last 10, 12 years, they have been developed by a separate agency from 2017. Union Home Minister is the person who's chairing the thing. There are other members which I've listed there. The last meeting was held in Jan 25, where they decided every house in the islands will have a Surya Ghar. That means they will have their own solar energy so that they don't have to depend on this diesel generator, which is coming from the power station, which actually adds to pollution, which is not good for tourism, right? So there's a emphasis on the government to enhance renewable energy and progress other projects, which I'll tell you. Project execution is a problem. First, raw material is not available. You don't have cements available. Cement has to go from India. Skilled manpower has to go from India. They have to go by sea. So you find the logistic cost is very high for supporting a project in either Andamans or in Nicobar or any island for that matter. Okay, so these are issues which pose challenges to progressing projects because there is a rule that you cannot cut many trees in these islands because many of them are densely forested, but you can't cut the trees more than a certain number. So wood has to go from India, cement has to go from India, steel has to go from India. So there's a problem in progress of project. So the major projects they planned is in Andaman Nicobar, they're trying to get the MSMEs to be developed because ship repair takes place there and food processing, especially fish, is being progressed there. Water-based adventure tourism, you have scuba diving, then you have people who are operating those on parachute, which is released, and you have adventure sports. Then you have, as I told you, energy is still dependent on diesel. They are going to create 3 tidal projects in Nicobar because in Andamans, there is no major river. The rivers are in Nicobar. So they are trying to create some check dams and create some hydroelectrical power. They are planning to set up an LNG power plant in Sri Vijayapuram by 2028. That means LNG will come by ship and that will go to an LNG power station. Instead of diesel, LNG will be used. So pollution will come down a bit. That is the advantage. And there's going to be a major transshipment port in Nicobar, which I'll discuss in detail towards the end. This is a very controversial project which has been catching the headlines in discussions in newspapers. As for Lakshwadeep, government is focusing on exporting tuna fish. They are going to do it in 3 phases. The first phase will finish next year, and they allocated a lot of money. They're going to buy more ships. The focus is more on Lakshwadeep for tourism. One, it's only about 200 and odd kilometers from Kochi. Connectivity is easy and good. They are ordering 6 passenger ships, some cargo ships, some LPG cylinder carrying ship for the people who are staying there. They're going to build water villas, something very similar to Maldives. They're going to, Suryagar, I've already told you. They're going to enhance the seaweed cultivation, which has got, it's a smart food. It has got a lot of demand in the country as well as abroad. To reduce pollution, they have inducted e-rickshaws and 50% concession is given. Discount is given if you want to buy an e-rickshaw. They're going to try to get desalination water from the sea. And of course, waste management needs to be improved upon. Now, I told you about that important project which is going to come in Great Nicobar. But before that, I just want to go through some other islands. There are many islands around India, and I will go through only few of them. This is a list. There's an island called APG Abdul Kalam Island. Then Sriharikota is an island, Elephanta, Bet Dwaraka, Pamban, etc., etc. So I will go through these 6. There are many more islands, but I have taken 6 islands just to familiarize. So these islands are located here as per the arrow. I will show it later also. There are 2 islands which are engaged in technical missions where you cannot go without a pass which is controlled. And first I will talk about APJ Kalam Island of Orissa. This island, which is about 10 kilometers from a port called Dhamra, you can go only by boat. And this island is engaged which I've shown here, it's a small island, is engaged in all our missile testing. This island is on lease with DRDO, and DRDO does most of the projects, at least the final stages of the projects of missile launch from here. This island was earlier called Wheeler Island. Then the name was changed to Dr. Abdul Kalam Island in 2017 on his second death anniversary. And there are about 10 islands, out of which the biggest one is what has been used by DRDO. And access is restricted. There's a helipad there for emergencies, but otherwise most of the access is by. One important aspect about ecology is that olive ridley turtles, they do the nesting. They do the nesting on many beaches off Orissa. But in this island, they come for nesting. And therefore, DRDO plans the missile launch avoiding this season, just for your information. They don't disturb these turtles who are coming for their nesting. There is an advantage in having a missile launching station on the eastern part of India. I will come to that when I speak about Sriharikota, because the point is similar for satellite launch as well as for missile launch. I'll come to that. So let's go to Sriharikota. Sriharikota is off Andhra Pradesh. This island, which is here, is between Pulicat Lake and Bay of Bengal. It is connected by a road. This red line is a road which comes from the highway from Chennai to Visakhapatnam. And this island today, of course, most of us know it is the place from where all satellites are launched in India. And it is about 44,000 square kilometer. It's on lease to ISRO. ISRO controls the entire island. Access is controlled because the technical missions which take place there. And it is also, the Pulicat Lake is also a location where many birds come forth during the breeding season. Now I'll talk about the advantage of Sriharikota and Abdul Kalam Island, which are on the eastern seaboard of India. One is off Andhra Pradesh, one is off Orissa. Why? The Earth rotates from west to east, right? When you launch a missile or a satellite, when you launch, there's a requirement to find a safe direction in which you can abandon the project or abandon the launch in case there's something gone wrong and you feel this satellite or the spacecraft or missile need not go further into atmosphere or beyond atmosphere. You can ditch it into this somewhere which is safe. Normally, all countries do this to sea. They'll ditch it into sea. Now, in our case, since we are having these islands on the eastern side and Earth is moving from west to east, the seaboard sea is available for any ditching. That is one part. Second part is when the missile or spacecraft is launched, they get additional velocity because of Earth's rotation. So they are able to reach their orbit or they're able to reach their trajectory with less fuel. That less fuel means less weight. So there's a great advantage for India's space mission as well as for our missile testing. All countries don't have this facility of having a seaboard on the eastern side. We have it. We are fortunate. And that greatly helps our missions, technical missions. So I've told you about these two islands, which are on lease to DRDO as well as to ISRO. Now I'll come to islands of tourism interest. First is, this is Elephant Island, which is off Bombay. You have to go by boat, where there's old caves are there of 5th and 6th century. It's a great attraction. I've been there. And it is, you have to go from Gateway of India to Elephant Island by boat, by ferry. and then you can visit this. It is a great tourist attraction, this place. The second tourist attraction is an island called Bet Dwarka. It is off Gujarat coast and is near off Oka, and where there's a very famous temple and a lot of references in mythology that Sri Krishna's was there when the floods came, and his later his statue flew into India, etc., or along with the water. So this is a great attraction for this temple, which is where Krishna was brought up. Now, the last one is Pamban, which you may have visited, Rameshwaram, where you can go by road or by rail. Recently, the rail has to be modified. The bridge was damaged. It has been modified. And it is a great attraction for people to visit Pamban Island. You can go by train or by road. So these are some of the islands which we have where tourism, but mostly it is limited tourism, people who come here, not as much as people on holiday, but people who are generally interested in going and seeing something of religious interest or cultural interest. But we also have some islands which we have lost or we gifted. First example, there's an island called New Moor Island. Hari may remember, in 1970s, after the Bangladesh war, suddenly a controversy erupted that there's an island called New Moor Island off the coast of West Bengal, and Bangladesh claimed it is their island, and they planted a flag. Then India has to intervene and saying this is not your island, this is in our part. There's a big controversy on that, and this island, which actually appeared on the surface in 1970 following a cyclone, there's a sand collection which built up an island. After 40 years, island disappeared. So today, New Moor is not there. It has gone under the sea because the sea level has gone up and some of the sand has also got eroded. So this dispute is no more now valid. It has not got settled also. But this is an example of how islands sometimes disappear under the sea. So if you're worried about sea level raising, there could be situations of some of the islands may get lost under the sea if the sea level rises immensely. The second island which we gave was Lakshwadeep Island of Rameshwaram. This had been on the news for quite some time. I've shown on the map, which Indian government gave it to Sri Lanka. It is not of much interest to India as per India's assessment at that point of time. But it continues to be a flashpoint on fishing rights, because some of our fishermen use that to dry their nets, which Sri Lanka keeps objecting. And there's been a problem between India and Sri Lanka. So these are two examples of where islands are, which we gifted away. And now I'm going to show you, which many of you may not know, we have leased an island from Mauritius. India has leased an island from Mauritius some years back. This island is called Galathea. It is north of Mauritius, west of Maldives. There's a small island. And what India has done is in this island, it has, in 2015, they joined effort between India and Mauritius. They built a bigger airstrip. There was a small airstrip. They extended the airship. They also made a jetty for ships. And today, India, with permission from Mauritius, as per the agreement, uses that airport or airstrip for naval aircraft to land, which monitors the activities of other warships in the Indian Ocean. India also sends naval vessels to Galathea Island for some time. The ships are there, they take a recce, and then they come back. So this is a strategic outpost which India has created with the help of Mauritius. You can have similar examples later where you have some other island nation agrees to have a joint effort with India, and they say, okay, you can use our island for your aircraft and defense aircraft and your naval ships, etc. Now, I come back to the transshipment port. The first transshipment port in India was Vizhinjam, which phase 1 is completed. The second transship port, there's a proposal for Great Nicobar, which we'll discuss. Just for benefit of people who want to know what is transshipment port. Transshipment port is a port where a ship comes, normally a big ship, comes and leaves the containers which are meant for delivery to Indian consumers or Indian customers. It is left there and the ship goes back. When it goes back, it also picks up the containers which are waiting there, which are carrying the exports of India to other countries. Leaves the containers for India there and picks up the containers from India and goes back. The containers are sent from the transshipment port to the various destinations. If it is Kerala, it may be sent by road. If it is Karnataka or Bombay, it may go by rail. If it is East Coast, so by Calcutta, it may go by another ship, a smaller ship. Of course, Vizhinjam road and rail are not still ready. So there's some delay in using road and rail for Vizhinjam. So let us see what is going to happen at Great Nicobar. In Great Nicobar, this is the way ships go, normally the route of the ship. This is Suez Canal, which we have all heard, we have studied in our social studies, through the Red Sea. The ships will come here. This is the famous Strait of Hormuz, which was in news for a couple of months, from where we get our LPG and our petrol. Those ships also come like this. If they have to go to China, if they have to go to China or Singapore or Japan. So this is Strait of Hormuz, this is Red Sea, and there's also there are other important straits on this side. All this, the ships finally come, go around India and Sri Lanka, and go between Andamans Nicobar Islands and go through this small strait called Malacca Strait between Malaysia or Singapore and Indonesia. Through that they go. This is the normal route. Now, when we discussed earlier, we said there's a 10-degree shipping line. If ships follow, they come along the red line, they go through this line in Malacca Strait, this is Singapore, and go away to that side. Or they will. Now the transshipment port are mostly in Singapore. So for all eastern part of India, most of our containers are left in Singapore, and from Singapore, some other ships to bring it to Chennai or to Vizag or to Calcutta. What the government is saying is, there is another route called 6-degree shipping lane. This is 10 degrees latitude. This is 6 degrees latitude. It can come like this, go south of Great Nicobar Island and come and join on this red line and go. So they said, let us set up a transshipment port here, just like Vizhinjam. So all Indian containers, which are either coming from west or they're coming from east, which are meant for India, you can leave it there. And Indian exporters can leave their exports and containers in the transshipment port there, instead of using Singapore, or there's a port called Klang in Malaysia, or Colombo. Instead of using that, we can use our own transshipment port. So let's go further. This is Nicobar Island, and this is the place where India is proposing. This is a blueprint of the transshipment port. When it comes here, all the containers will be left here, and from here, ships will come and take the containers to Indian place. Indian ships will come and leave it here. So this is the transshipment port which India is planning. So let's see some more details. The government is progressing this in a place called Galathea Bay. which is the mouth of the Galathea River in Great Nicobar. There's enough depth of water. It is close to 6-degree shipping line. It will also have an airport for any requirement of people to come there regarding the services as well as change of crew of ships, crew, etc. There'll be a township, there'll be an energy power plant. There may not be any ship repair facility there. It's going to be executed in 4 phases. Phase 1 will be by 2028. It can have a maximum capacity of 14.2 million containers, while Vizhinjam is 5.7. So it is more than 2 times the size of Vizhinjam by way of container capacity. Environmental clearance has been given. Some tribal reserve land has been used and forest was used, but government has given the clearance because of some advantages, which I'll show in the next slide. It is very close to Sabang port of Indonesia. Sabang port of Indonesia was jointly upgraded between India and Indonesia in 2019. Recently, Prime Minister's visit also focused on this point. So there can be some collaboration between Sabang and this new Transshipment Port which is coming, which will be extremely useful. So I have shown there Sabang Port as well as the Galathea Bay. Now, this is how the route will be. The ships will now come. They may stop at Colombo, but for Indian containers, they can come and stop here in Galathea Bay. And from here, small ships can take it to all the ports in India. Similarly, ports in India can send exports back here. From here, it will go abroad. So they don't have to depend on Singapore and Klang that much. What are the advantages? Let us see that. First is it is deep water, 20 meter. Big ships can come, not only small ships. Big ships can come. We'll reduce our dependence on Klang, which is in Malaysia, and Colombo, definitely, and Singapore. It avoids substantial payments in dollars to foreign ports. Because all these foreign ports take money in dollars for your container lying there. You may be an exporter, your container is lying there for 3 days, and you have to pay the money to that port in dollars before it is picked up and is taken to the next destination. So if it is Indian port, you have to pay only in rupees, which is a great advantage. India's supply chain will become more resilient. There are some items urgently required in India. Let's say fertilizers. Fertilizers may not be in containers, or some other item which is required for semiconductor industry, urgently required in India. Containers come to Singapore. It may get delayed. It may be in the queue for the next ship to come to India, and there may be a delay of 15 days, 10 days. But if we have our own transshipment port, we can give priority, we can intervene, the government can intervene and get it sent to India. It can also support some deployment of naval ships to that area, which can be used for any reconnaissance, surveillance, etc. Now, it is supposed to break even as per calculation in 17 years. The total project cost is 48,000 crores. Let's see how this goes. The final decision has not come from the government. Final decision has not come, but all preparatory work has been done. So let me come to the conclusions of what the islands can improve for India's economy. First, islands have their own wealth in the EEZ around them. And India's islands are, as I told you, about nearly 1,400, mostly in Andamans Nicobar and Lakshwadeep. We have already established digital connectivity with the islands, which has improved healthcare, education, quality of life. There's a transshipment port coming in Galathea, similar to Vizhinjam, which will improve our supply chain and also reduce the requirement of foreign exchange for various logistic expenditure. And there are many islands of India which are of cultural and religious importance, which can enable enhancement of tourism, domestic tourism. And you have 2 islands which are engaged in technical programs like space and missile, which will be which has got a natural advantage being on the east and having a sea next to it, which will enable our space and missile programs to perform with less technical effort. In the sense, their engines need not carry so much of fuel. The weight is less, therefore they can go farther because the weight is less, or they can go to a higher orbit because the weight is less, and that will enhance our space reach as well as missile programs reach. And you have this advantage because you're there on the eastern side. But the government has to improve for Lakshwadeep and Andaman Nicobar. Mostly the potential is in tourism. So they have to look at renewable energy. They have to look at improving air connectivity by more airports. They have to look at how the fisheries can be improved, especially in Lakshwadeep, which is famous for tuna fish, which is much in demand in Far East, and also looking at the various facilities for water sports. But there are challenges. When you want to set up something in the island, all the items required for the construction, for the materials have to go from mainland. And that is a challenge. Andamans is more than 1,000 kilometers away, while Lakshwadeep is 200 plus kilometers. So it is easier for us to develop Lakshwadeep side than on Andaman side. So I think the government is also looking at this, making Lakshwadeep a tourism hub, while on the Andaman Nicobar side, it'll be more of for trade, transshipment port, and also for defense units to be located, because we need to have a very close watch on how the water, which is the ocean shipping lines, will get used by forces, by the other naval forces, which are likely to be our adversaries. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. I am closing the presentation now. Jai Hind.